Welcome, gamers. Game Vibes on a Sunday. This is Game Vibes on the Sunday, and I'm Troy. This is LTR Gaming. Welcome. This is the 7th week that I've been doing this particular, uh, you know, video podcast, you can call it, here on YouTube, and I'm having a great time doing it. And I hope you are too, enjoying it and understanding that, the effort is there. That I'm making for this particular channel to grow. And I'm open for suggestions. Before I begin, I would like every viewer, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on the rebroadcast, to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment below. It means so much to do that, and it goes such a long way because it allows the channel to grow. And along with growing, it allows the channel to ultimately be monetized. At the end of the day, I do enjoy gaming. I love gaming. I enjoy this particular medium of entertainment, and I enjoy adding to it. But at the same time, I would like to grow the channel as well, and monetizing the channel is the next step. So in order to do that, I need my subscribers to actually watch the videos and actually share the videos and share the content and be active in it, because that's the only way allegedly I can get some traction in the YouTube algorithm. And that was a whole mouthful, especially on a Sunday. Like I said, I hope everyone's having a blessed Sunday. Everyone's in a safe space and are good. A ton of things I want to talk about and get into today as far as gaming is concerned. But I first want to say, if you've been noticing that I haven't been on Twitter, it's because I've been locked out of my Twitter account. And for the last 3 weeks, I've been locked out of my Twitter account. And the thing is that when I set up the initial account, I set it up and added a phone number to it, of course. But the thing is, I had changed my number. So I no longer have access to that particular number. So in order to verify the account, they keep sending a code to the actual old number, and they haven't been sending the code to the new number. And I've reached out to Twitter several times, and at this point, I'm just fed up. Hands up in the air. In regard to that, I'm just going to create a whole new Twitter account. So if you've been wondering why you haven't seen me on Twitter, why I haven't been as active as I used to be on Twitter, that's the reason why, at the end of the day. I got some videos in the works coming along the way. Hope you guys are staying tuned for that. I've been playing a ton of gameplay. Again, shout out to Microsoft, shout out to Game Pass. Been playing a lot of Forza Motorsport 7, and I just started playing this game called Control. I did like a semi-review of Control in Forza Motorsport 7, even though those are last-gen games. Those are games that I haven't got the opportunity to play last-gen, so I've been giving those games a go, and I've been having a blast with those. So look for the semi-review of both of those games tomorrow. Also, I've been flying my drone lately. You guys know I have a drone. From time to time, I put up, video that I capture with my JDI Mavic Mini drone that I, have a blast playing with and flying as well. So I got gameplay of that, not gameplay, footage of my actual flight sessions coming with my JDI drone. But I want to know, you, the viewers, what's been going on with you guys? What have you guys been watching? What have you guys been playing? The holiday season is around the corner. We're about 4 days away from Cyberpunk 2077 finally launching. CD Red, finally. I mean, god damn, I didn't think it was going to happen in 2020. I thought it was going to be another delay into 2021. And, they were going to have to put out another delay of this actual this actual game, due to the fact that they haven't even put out a next-gen version of the actual game. And I'm interested to see how that actually looks on the Xbox Series X from what people have been saying that have gotten the game early and have been experiencing the game early, those who are fortunate to get it early enough because they pre-ordered it and it's just been shipped early by select retailers, they've been saying that the game looks pretty good. CD Projekt Red also asks, please do not stream the game before the actual release of the whole world. So if you're looking not to spoil the experience for other gamers, they would ask you not to actually ruin that experience for other gamers to actually experience Cyberpunk 2077. I already pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it at GameStop, so I'm going to have to go and physically this coming Thursday go and pick up my actual copy of the game, and I'm fine with that, and get into it and see what it's all about. So much hype around this game. This game has so much riding on it, as far as the delivery of what was promised, and I really hope they do, because this will be a major letdown if they don't perform and it doesn't live up to the hype that it's been advertised to live up to. You know, they're also coming out with a multiplayer version of this game, which CD Projekt Red said will be a standalone version of the actual game. So, you know, you'll be able to play this game, and then once it's done, maybe 6 months from now, you get the online version. I'm not sure if you'll have to pay for that. They have not said that this will be a free version or expansion of the Cyberpunk game, the multiplayer that is. And who knows, you might have to pay $30 for it. I don't know. I'm not saying that they will, but normally, if you look at the past record of CD Projekt Red, normally they have a good track record with the consumers and with gamers. They normally do right by gamers with their business practices, along with the free DLC, things of that nature, stuff like that. So I can't really be really that mad if you have to pay a couple of dollars more for the actual multiplayer. And neither should you, especially if the game is good. If the game is a really good game, single player that is, more than likely the multiplayer will be good as well. And I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes down to it. But at the end of the day, you know, who knows? This game is going to be launching very soon. And I know the masses are looking forward to it. And let me know, you know, what do you think about Cyberpunk 2077? Will you be getting this game day one? Were you looking forward to it? Were you actually going to start the game off as a nomad, an inner city kid, a corporate? You know, those are three different entities that you can start in places that you can start the game off as far as your background of your actual character. I'm going to start out in the wasteland and make my way and work my way into the city, instead of starting off in the city and working my way out to the wasteland. You know, and I'm going to try to play it that way. Of course, I'm going to be live streaming this thing as well, day one when I get it. So more than most likely Thursday afternoon, maybe 1 p.m., I will be live streaming Cyberpunk 2077, and we'll go through this thing day one and see what that experience is like and see if I like it or not at the end of the day. I did like The Witcher 3. That was a great game, a great experience for me. So, you know, I'm leaning more likely towards the fact that I will be liking this particular game as well. I still haven't been able to procure a PS5. What's interesting is that me and my girl, like the last 5 days, her more than me, she's been going on the Sony website because they've been going live and trying to actually get a PS5 for me. And it's not a mystery, you know, even if she does get it, and I know she possibly will get it, and when the holiday season does come and that day does come and I get it, I'm still going to be happy and surprised that she got it, even though I may know that she has it already. It's been damn near impossible. Like, as soon as it go live, we go on the PlayStation website, we go on the actual queue, and then once we go in the queue, we're waiting. And then we're waiting, and then it says PlayStations are out of stock for the day. And I'm like, well, what the hell? What do you have, only 5? And I'm like, well, we went on as soon as you gone live. Like, she would go on her laptop, I would go on my PC and go on the website, so we'll both get an opportunity to, you know, be able to purchase it. It's impossible at this particular moment, even especially coming from Sony. at this particular moment. So I don't know. I've been hearing from Jake Randall, the guy I've been following on YouTube and on Twitter. He's been going live far as letting folks know when the other retailers are going live and following links. And, if you were to pre-order one right now, I would think from whatever retailer that you get the opportunity to pre-order a console from, I think you're not even going to get it before Christmas. I think more likely than not, you'll get it after the holiday season, maybe the beginning of the new year. You know what I mean? And that sucks, especially if you were looking for this to be a Christmas gift to, a loved one or someone that was really looking forward to actually getting this actual game. But I still haven't got a PS5, and I'm still kind of bummed out about that because I really want one. I have a ton of last gen games I want to play. I want to play Miles Morales. And even though, there's not a lot of first party studios out for Sony right now, in 2021, they're coming heavy and they're coming hard. And I want to be ready and prepared for when they do that. So at any rate, I'm just hoping and assuming that at some point in time, they get to the point where, these things are readily available and accessible to the masses at some point in time. But what's really cool is that I've been reading a particular article on the Los Angeles Times. This particular article come from. And in this particular article, it shared that while we're dealing with COVID-19, this particular pandemic, I hate to mention it, but it is what it is. Fashion designers and fashion creators, they've kind of been hindered from being able to create, new clothing brands, new clothing items and accessories and things of that nature for people to actually buy and actually wear. The social distancing can't be within 6 feet of someone else. And, that kind of makes it impossible to really do what they do. But they took an alternative route, and I'm glad that they did. They actually are advertising their brands in actual video games. And one of those particular games that there's like top 5 or top 10 conglomerate clothing brands are advertising their clothing items in is the game called Sims. You can actually buy Gucci bags, Gucci shirts, Gucci clothes, Gucci shoes in the actual game. Now, listen, if you've been playing the game on PC, you can mod all of that in. Modding has made everything and anything possible in gaming. But the fact that they have officially licensed these clothing brands and designs to actually be in the actual game without modding them and actually having the gamers decide whether they want to buy them, obviously they're not going to be free. You're going to have to pay for them. I think it's really cool. I think the fact that they did that is really cool. And I think that this trend is not going to stop. I think towards other conglomerate platforms such as a Sony and a Microsoft, maybe in their exclusive IPs, you'll see, these particular real world clothing brands be advertised in game or worn by game characters in video games. And I think it's a neat thing. I think it's great marketing. I think that it's a avenue that hasn't been tapped into as often or as much as it should have been at this particular moment. Because think about it, at the end of the day, everybody wear clothes. So, people want to wear the latest and the greatest and see the newest stuff from the best brands and the latest brands. And why not see it or experience it from companies such as a Gucci, Versace, or, a Nike, or things, or Reebok, things of that nature. I think it's really dope. Now, listen, they're not the first brand to do that. They've been doing that in 2K basketball. They've been doing that in Madden, you know what I mean? These Nikes and Reeboks, Under Armour, things like that of the nature. But to have a Gucci is not Nike, right? Reebok is not Gucci. You see what I'm saying? This is a top of the line deal clothing brand. So, I might be going on a little hard about it because I think it's a big deal. I would never buy no Gucci. I don't see the value in it. And personally, I really don't like the type of style, but there's a lot of people that do. I think it's a great thing, the fact that it's actually crossing over into the gaming medium industry. I think that's a really big deal. and people should talk about that. I think people really should make that a part of, a conversation piece that, people should, uphold as something that we should be um, giving accolades to, let's say, and giving them the utmost praise. The fact that our industry is actually respected at the end of the day. Now, Immortals Phoenix Rising has came out, and I said I was going to get it, and I decided not to. And the reason why I decided not to, because I don't want to play a game with a bunch of puzzles. Like, and from what I've seen, it's a bunch of puzzles. Like Zelda Breath of the Wild, it was a balance, right, of puzzle and combat and exploration and adventure. And what I see from this particular game, I just think it's a knockoff Breath of the Wild. It looks good, but to me, I know where they got their inspiration from, and to me, they're kind of straddling that gray area too close. And the puzzles just threw it off of me. Like I don't want to play a puzzle-driven game. You know what I mean? Like that's a bit too much for me. And I was gonna get it, like I said, but I'm not gonna get it at this particular point. And I did see reviews, and people are enjoying it, and I'm glad that they're actually enjoying it. But I won't be. I won't be, getting that at any time soon. But let me know if you did, if that's something that you're actually into, that something that you actually bought. The developers at Ori and the Will of the Wisp, they're creating the next gen Xbox Series X version of the actual game. Now, I don't know how more beautiful you can make that game look. Like even the last Ori game that I played on the Xbox One X, that was a game that was a great looking game. That was a game that was awesome. I mean, graphically, I get it. It was a side scroll. It wasn't an open world game. It wasn't a 3D driven world game. It was a side scroller game, platform game, but it was a really beautiful game. But what I like about what developers are doing for the Microsoft game is that they're willingly and actually in some instances taking it upon themselves to create these next gen versions of these last gen games, and they're doing it fairly quickly. The turnaround is pretty great, and I'm really enjoying that. I don't see what the big issue is, why Sony can't do that. I still don't see why Sony can't allow you to play last gen games, not in the sense of PS4 games, but PS3 games, PS2 games, PS1 games on the PS5. I can play my entire Microsoft catalog from the Xbox One up into the current gen games on my Xbox Series X. I don't see why Sony can't allow you to do that. It makes no sense to me. They have the hardware to do it. And I think at the end of the day, we as gamers don't demand that from them. We just cool with them being Sony, and they're just marching to their own beat of their own drum, which is fine because Nintendo does the same thing. But Nintendo brings their games from 30 years ago forward on every console that they create. So I don't see why Sony couldn't do that. I kind of think that sucks because there's actually gamers emulating PS1 and PS2 games on the Xbox, and you're actually able to play those games on the Xbox. So if I'm actually able to play PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games on the Xbox, why the hell I can't play them on a PS5? Sony, you have to work on that. You have to create some type of emulation system that's adequate enough to allow gamers to experience those games, because your competition is doing it. Your competition is offering their gamers something that you're not. And it's something that you ultimately could offer. But at the end of the day, will they? I don't know. Now, there's been some complaints about the Xbox Series X controller, and it's allegedly hurting people's hands. And I don't know, right? I think a lot of the hate and a lot of the dislike for the Xbox Series X is because some people just don't like the Microsoft brand. And more than most likely, those are Sony guys that only play Sony, that only play the PlayStation console. And they have that disdain that, you know what, no matter what Microsoft do, I hate them. I'm with PlayStation. So I'm a gamer. I play all consoles. I critique both of them. So I have the Xbox Series X. The controller is the same controller from the Xbox One. Actually, you can play with the Xbox One controller on the Xbox Series X. There's not that much of a difference other than the texture and the material used on the actual controllers in the actual D-pad. That's the only difference there. So the fact that it's hurting, there's reports that it's hurting gamers' hands. Actually, it's one of the most comfortable controllers that's ever made. It's one of the most emulated controllers that's ever made. Now, I'm not capping for Microsoft, and you might think, well, damn, this dude sound like a X-bot, and he's capping for them. I'm not capping for them at all. I'm just saying what's real. I'm saying what's true and honest. No one's giving me any kind of advertisement or support to say what I'm saying here. But the thing about it is, if you think about it, every PlayStation console that has launched, every generation from the first one to the fifth one, they have changed their controller. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nintendo has done it. They've changed their controller. I haven't held the PlayStation 5 controller yet, but I've held the DualShock 4. And if I had to compare the Xbox controller to the DualShock 4, the Xbox controller, hands down, is the most comfortable controller. It's actually, far as weight circumference, it's weighted perfectly, at least for me. And the PlayStation is a good controller as well. It's a comfortable controller as well. But if I had to choose a controller that I want to play universally with on PC, if I was able to play with one on the Nintendo Switch, I got the Pro controller, of course, on the Nintendo Switch. But who does the Pro controller emulates? The Pro controller emulates the Xbox controller. So the fact that there's people complaining about the Xbox Series X controller hurting their hands, listen, man, people are just looking for any reason to trash the Xbox Series X. Oh, there's no exclusives. Oh, it's the most powerful console, but it doesn't run the multi-plats better than Sony does, even though they said it would. Listen, man, it's not even a year. It's not even the first 6 months of the console's life cycle. Let's give it a break here. Let's pump our brakes as far as our expectations. And at the end of the day, we don't even know what this console is going to look like a year from now as far as the exclusives. Remember, they just bought a ton of studios. Let's see what happens. Now, if Microsoft falls on their face this particular generation, after acquiring all of those studios and haven't put out any quality first person or single player games that gamers really want, because that's what Xbox lacks, then I'll be the first one to say, yo, y'all dropped the ball and that's not acceptable. But then give them a break. So apparently PlayStation might be putting out a new portable. And we came from the Vita, and I was cool on the Vita. I had a Vita, but it wasn't enjoyable. My Switch, I'm gonna tell you guys, my Switch compared to handhelds, this is the best handheld ever made. Now, I go way back to the Game Boy, the Neo Geo, all them little dumb handheld games you used to get from the corner store for like $5.99. I go way back then. The fact that Sony has decided to jump back in the market of handheld gaming possibly is very interesting. The fact that you was actually able to pair your PS Vita with your PS4 and play games from your console on your Vita was dope. I did that a couple of times with my PS4. I thought that was innovative. But at the end of the day, I mean, they didn't have enough software to support the Vita. Nintendo got all the software in the world to support the Switch. And actually, they more than likely will be coming out with a new Switch, allegedly. So with Sony coming out possibly with a new handheld, what are you going to have on it? Is it going to be able to compete with the likes of the Nintendo Switch? I don't want to play a 70, 80-hour single player game on a handheld. See, it's different when you're playing it on a Switch because you can dock this. So if I want to play maybe 5 hours or 3 hours on the handheld, then play it on my TV, then I can do that. More likely than not, this handheld that Sony may be coming out with, you're not going to be able to dock it to your TV because then it'll be like, well, it'll defeat the purpose of the PS5 because now you have two consoles and systems that you can actually dock. So then what would be the point in that? I said all that to say this. It's a rumor. I would like to see what it looks like if they are. I would like to see what would be the components and the point of it. I would like to see what the software would be involved in it. But at the end of the day, you're coming into a market that Nintendo has cornered for a very long time. And Nintendo's about to launch another Switch, likely, very highly likely. I don't know if you want to compete with them when they're about to launch their next Switch or their next console, whatever. The Switch been out like, you know what's crazy? Is that I haven't even been keeping up with the years. This console's been out like 3 years, like, and it went by so quick. And when it came out, I gave it hell. A lot of people gave it hell because I was like, well, how is this going to compete with the Xbox One? And how is it going to compete with the PS4? With the graphic fidelity, right? With the GPU, the CPU in it, you're not going to be able to play GTA or Doom, or they're not going to port any games over to the Switch. And then look what they did. They ported all them shits over to, you got The Witcher 3 running on the Switch. So I wouldn't be surprised that Sony decided to come out with a new Vita or a new handheld, but you got to be careful because you're coming into a market or a territory that, you know, Nintendo has cornered the market in, and it's going to be hard to get the win shares away from people who are accustomed to playing their handhelds on Nintendo devices. That's all I'm saying. I'll be looking forward to it if it does come out. And hell, if it's enticing enough, I'll like to give it a shot. But also, I want to hit on scalpers. Scalpers, right? You got to love them. I mean, you got to love them and hate them. I have a love and hate relationship with scalpers because, hell, I bought my Xbox Series X from one. I had no choice. And at the same time, you got to hate them because now I can't even get a PS5 because they're botting away. But apparently they're trying to cut down on them. And when I say they, I mean some retailers, they're canceling orders that were created by bots and scammers. So I guess there's a way that these multi-conglomerate retail companies can figure out if a bot actually bought or actually purchased products online. And I guess you can tell by the quantity of the item that is purchased. You can tell then, okay, that's a bot. Somebody bought 20 PS5s, that's a bot. Somebody bought 10 PS5s, that's a bot. And apparently they're canceling the orders for some. And I think that's really cool. I think they should have been done that. I think every retailer should have been establishing some form of CAPTCHA type of online system that requires you to not just add items to your cart and check out, but actually to identify with yourself who you are, other than just click the 5 traffic lights, click the 5 fire hydrants. Other than that, it should be something a little more extensive than that. Maybe you put I don't know, driver's license in, I don't know, last four of a social, I don't know, do something other than just allowing these guys just to continuously scalp these actual consoles and not allowing people to be able to get them. I think this is a step a small step in the right direction, but I don't know if it will actually help at this particular point in time. I don't know. I think maybe it's a little too late, because we already know come 2021 there's going to be a surplus of these consoles, and those bots and those scalpers, they're going to have to come down to reality as far as what they're asking for those consoles. So we'll see what actually happens if these retailers keep up this particular shenanigans that they decided to do to actually fight these. But there's possibly, allegedly, and I really hope that this is true, Capcom is possibly making a remake of Metal Gear Solid. The original Metal Gear Solid game that came out for the original PlayStation. Now, that game, to me, holds such a memorable place for me because I was a young teenager when that game came out. And I remember playing that game so often and so much over and over again, because not because I wanted to, but because, one, I was poor, and I didn't come from a home where I can just go buy a $70, $80 game. And, you know, the games that we did have, we had to replay them over and over again. And I remember replaying that game so many times over and over again, you know, unlocking the different trinkets, unlocking the tuxedo suit, unlocking invisibility camo. You know, that game holds a fond place for me. I think Hideo Kojima, one of the best video game creators, writers, executives, producers of all times. I said one of the greatest, not the greatest. And I wish that he was still with Konami, because it seems with him not being there, it just doesn't seem natural. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem real. Like it's like watching the 90s Chicago Bulls and imagining Michael Jordan not ever being there. It just wouldn't seem right. So it just doesn't seem right with him not there, but at any rate, he's not there. And I don't know if he'll ever come back or collab with them. He's currently collabing with Sony at this particular moment. But if they decide to come out with this game, I would hope that they'll do it from the ground up, and they'll completely do a tasteful remake of this particular game. Because if you're not going to do it tastefully, if you're not going to do it to the best of your ability and with the best quality at hand, then you might as well not even remake it. But Capcom is sitting on, Capcom and Konami. Konami and Capcom, they're sitting on IPs that are so dear to people that it's crazy, and they're doing nothing with them. And I'm quite surprised that Sony or Microsoft haven't gone to them like, hey, look, come off some of these IPs, right? Like, come off of Contra. That's one game that I like. Come off of. Imagine playing a modern day Contra in 2020. Like, come off of Castlevania. Let another company or team put some new splash of paint on it and create a different experience, an open world, revision, reimagine for the modern day and time of a game that's like 40 years old. Like imagine them doing that, but they hold tight to those games, and then they just create freaking pinball machines of those actual games, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But they own them. It is theirs. It is their IPs, and they did create them, and they can do as they choose with them. But I just feel like they just, at the end of the day, they could have done more. And I wish that they will. And if they're willing to create a new Metal Gear Solid game, then I'm all for it. I hope that they actually put their best foot forward. I'll be supporting it. You know, even if it does suck, unfortunately, I'm still going to buy it. And I'll tell you that it sucked even after I spent my money on it. But if they do, I think that that's a great game to remaster. I think there's a lot of nostalgia, not just from the nostalgia that I have with it, from the nostalgia that a lot of people have with that particular series. And, you know, it'll be cool to see if they allow Hideo Kojima to come back and, you know, be a part of it to some extent. You know what I mean? I think that'll be dope. But guys, this is Gaming Vibes on a Sunday. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you enjoyed the video here. We'll be back here next Sunday again with more gaming vibes, more topics to talk about. I promise I have more topics to talk about. Obviously, at that particular moment, we'll have Cyberpunk 2077 out, and more than most likely, Gaming Vibes on a Sunday next week won't be live because I will be bringing you guys actual video of gameplay and different experiences that I wouldn't be able to give you right now live of Cyberpunk 2077. So look forward to that. And follow me on Twitch because I stream on there as well. On Instagram, I upload all my gaming content, such as 4K photos that I've gotten off of the actual games, off the actual Xbox One X, Series X, and video, of course, things of that nature. I'm going to be setting up my Twitter account again today, so bear with me on that. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video. Goes a long way. I'm trying to get this channel monetized so we can advance and move forward. Anyway, guys, I'm Troy. This is LTR Gaming. Until next time, peace, and don't forget to play your games. Yeah.